everybody, I'm Tara from Crooked Row, and today is all about cabbage. We actually didn't get our cabbage this year because our pregnant dairy cow broke out of her pen and actually ate it all. So we will be using store-bought cabbage, but whether you have cabbage from your garden or cabbage from your local store or farmer's market, it doesn't really matter because today we're gonna make sauerkraut. So let's get to it. So today we're working outside because it's absolutely beautiful, but we're gonna go ahead and start with our cabbage, and I'm gonna teach these two how to make sauerkraut. Christopher kind of knows how to make sauerkraut. Elijah, you've never made sauerkraut, have you?
I think I did once.
Okay. Well, this is going to be a refresher how to make and ferment sauerkraut. So we start with one cabbage. Okay, so I like to cut mine in half. Cabbages are always tough and stubborn. They are really tight heads, and these are no exception. So let me get this cut open. Ugh. Wow. This is really tough. Okay, I'm using my other knife too. Aha! When there's a will, there's a way. Okay, so this very top leaf, take off. It's dirty. It has been introduced to the elements. We will just throw that away. And then take off one good leaf, not this one, but like a whole leaf. And we'll save this one good leaf to hold down the liquids to ferment the sauerkraut. But I like to cut these in quarters and just shave them as thin as you can. Now, I'm not working with my sharpest knives because my kitchen is under construction and we don't know where those sharp knives are. So I'm making do. Half didn't have the core. I'm going to go ahead and cut out the core. Really the easiest way. Look, this is almost coreless. Typically they have a big core that comes up into here, but I'm going to go ahead and cut it like that anyway. We just finished. That was one cabbage head. I actually have like 3 or 4 that we're going to go through today, but for most people one cabbage head is plenty. A small cabbage head will fill a quart jar, a quart mason jar. You don't have to use a quart mason jar to make sauerkraut. You can use a big bowl that you have a plate and weights on and different things, but we utilize mason jars, and I'll get into that in a minute. But right now it's kind of all about the cabbage. You want good thin slices of cabbage. Some people like little tiny bits of cabbage, and they put it through a food processor, and that's good too, but I kind of like it where there's a little bit left. So you also, it's all about pulling the water out from the cell walls. So you kind of want to damage, that sounds funny, but damage the cell walls of the cabbage. So you want to put about a tablespoon of salt on here. And the salt helps the cabbage release its water. And then some people will let it set for like 30 minutes to an hour and a half, but just make sure and cover it so nothing gets in it. You want everything like super clean, your hands clean, everything super clean. Some people come in and massage it to help it release, but I got something called Mason Tops, and they have a fermentation kit, and it comes with this like dowel, and it's like flat, and once it has salt on it, you can just come in and just kind of help it break down. And so I joke and say that we're beating it and you sort of are. You're beating it so that it renders out some of its juice, and you'll go ahead and do that. It will become like very watery unless you have an older cabbage. And if you have an older cabbage, it'll still work. You might have to add a little bit of salt water to it. The biggest thing with fermentation is that you want to make sure that you have enough salt, because if you don't have enough salt, then it'll just rot. So, but for a small cabbage, you can get away with a teaspoon. I like a tablespoon. So we're gonna get started on the boys shredding up their own, and I'm gonna get them started pounding, and then we'll come back on putting it in the jars and what to do next. Okay, so we've got 2 bowls, 2 cabbage heads that are fully macerated and stomped and beaten up. And they are ready to go into a mason jar. Now we use the half-gallon mason jars, but we have 6 people in our family, and everybody loves sauerkraut in our family. If you don't like sauerkraut, I suggest that you try some and use it on like sandwiches in place of a pickle. Sometimes we put them in our salads just for a little extra kick. I know that people typically use them with like, I don't know, a baked chicken, mashed potatoes, and a little side of sauerkraut, and just the salty savoriness of the rest of the dish. The sauerkraut adds a little bit of a punch to the dinner. So, but sauerkraut has lots of probiotics in it. So if you are looking to get probiotics, this is a great way to get them. They help in your belly. A lot of people have like IBS and just different digestive disorders, and so this probiotics, and there's trillions of probiotics in your own home fermentations. So let's get started on this. We have our canning jars. I went down a rabbit hole. We have our clean canning jars, clean hands. So they forgot to add, I love caraway seed. Oh, I love the smell of it. I love the flavor that it adds. And you can add as little or as much as you want. Some people really like dill. Oh, shaka blah. We are out. So I only have enough for 1 batch. Dag nabbit. So Elijah's will not have caraway seeds in it. I know, I'm so sorry. So we're just going to get our canning jars and fill the canning jar. And when you get a handful in it, take your dowel or whatever you're using and pound it right in the jar. Can you see this, Christopher?
Mm-hmm.
Christopher utilized the wooden bowl, and a problem with using the wooden bowl is it absorbs liquid. So we'll have to pound this one a little bit more than we typically do because it's not macerating enough. But this is just the trials and things that you go through in doing things at home. Okay, so this is right about to the top. It's not really as juicy as I would like for it to be, so we're gonna let this sit for just a little bit and see how much liquid it renders. If this does not render enough water, then I'll make a solution of some salt water and pour this on top. But that's gonna take a little while, and I wanna go ahead and show you how you utilize this. So you take that clean piece of cabbage that you had and you put it under here, and then you just cut the cabbage the size of your canning jar. And then you utilize this to make sure that all of that cabbage stays submerged. And then this is where, can you see this, Christopher?
Yep.
This is where we've got cabbage all over it. The mason tops come in handy because they have something in here called a pickle pebble, and it's just like just a clear disc that you put to hold that down. This is so that all of the cabbage stays submerged. Can you zoom in, Christopher, so when I press on this they can kind of see the liquid? Can you kind of see that liquid dance up there? See it? Just kind of shimmy. Can you see that?
Yeah, just barely.
And so Elijah's gonna have to cut some more cabbage, and they'll have to massage more cabbage to get it to come up to here. But this one is good. And the other thing that's great is with the mason tops. So when you have fermentation, a lot of times you'll either have to come in and do what they call burping it, or you will have to, some people use a canning jar lid with a paper towel. The problem with that, and I have done that, is it does attract gnats, and sometimes fermentation will bubble and it will hit that paper towel, and so then it'll be wet and yucky. But these have this little nipple on it, and it releases the air. Here, we'll do 2 blues. I don't know if you could mix them though. Okay, so you just put this on and you put your canning ring on it, and then you put this in a cool, well, not really cool. I put this, we have something called a fermentation cabinet. It's nothing, nothing special to it. It's just a cabinet that we don't open a whole lot. But you definitely want somewhere dark. It shouldn't be somewhere bright. And you leave it. So there are normal things that happen when you're fermenting something at home. While this looks kind of like, especially on camera, it looks a little like neonish green, it will actually turn to a drab color at first, a drab green, and then eventually it will turn to white and even sort of translucent. So it is normal for it to bubble. It is just lactic acid breaking things down. It is normal, and then that gas can sometimes give off like a sulfuric smell, and it is normal to get a little white on the top. I like to take that off, just I'm a little paranoid and picky. But some people leave that on. But just before you eat it, make sure and kind of skim that off the top. There's lots of information online about home fermentation. There really is nothing that tastes better than your own fermented things. We make lots and lots. We make kombucha, we make all sorts of fermented things, but it's really, really good for your belly. So how was making sauerkraut?
Oh, it's fairly easy. Yeah,
Easy?
it is. It's very easy.
Yeah, I think that anybody can do this. I mean, and it's a really great way to store your cabbages, because while we do want fresh cabbage and we want to like make crack slaw and coleslaw and all these amazing things that you make with cabbage, and egg rolls, had to throw that in.
Yeah.
And all these amazing things that we make with cabbage, you also want to be able to store this, and this stores for a really long time. So we will probably go through this relatively quickly, but we're going to do some more not on camera. We just wanted to share with you how to do this, and I highly suggest the mason tops. It just makes things a lot cleaner and easier. And so if we can do sauerkraut,
Anybody can.
Bye.